Okay, and we are live.
Welcome back to the We Valiant Few podcast. I am one of your hosts, Raptor,
Crossfire's here.
Blackbeard.
and
Slapshot's not here today.
yes, he is not here because, for lack of a better word, he is doing the big sleep and is still sleeping. There's no rescue party to save him. He's just asleep.
Shame.
It is big shame.
Does that mean we leave a man behind?
He left himself behind.
Right.
All right, so on today's agenda, we will be talking about training and how you can do that yourself. But before we get into that, we should probably talk about our plugs.
The plugs. The big plug. The one we always do, of course, first is our Discord. Join our Discord community, discord.wevaliantfew.com, and join in the discussion. Community's growing. People are interacting. It's a good place.
Yeah, we like talking to people.
We like talking to people. And it's other than our live shows, that's about the only way you can really get a hold of us throughout the week. Or you can get a hold of us on our Instagram at WeValiantFew. We post all kinds of cool stuff.
Post
there.
memes, pictures, if there's anything you guys want to see on there, or maybe I'm thinking about doing maybe shorter videos and doing like quick drills that you guys can do, and that might coincide with the training that we're talking about today.
Yeah.
But stuff like that.
But yeah, that type of stuff. YouTube, you're on YouTube right now. If you're listening to this on one of the podcast platforms, it's youtube.wevaliantfew.com. And all of that is summed up pretty well in our website, wevaliantfew.com. Also, I was checking just Google today. We have the everything on the front page. Or like, you type in WeValiantFew, we have everything. Whole
very
front
good.
page is all our stuff. So we're pretty easy to find, should you want to find us.
Very good.
And lastly, the big disclaimer. If you like what we're doing, and you're viewing us here on YouTube, please like, share, subscribe to this video. If you see us on one of the podcast platforms, please share this with your friends, your family, your family's friends.
Yeah, share it with everyone. Give us, pointers or anything like that. Whatever. We want to make this interesting and useful to everyone that is listening, so let us know.
Right, so on to, again, our introduction type topic of current events.
Current events.
This one here is really relevant, I think, to what we always talk about, and that's the mass shootings we've been doing and how it's going to
We've been doing. All right, let's not get ahead of ourselves there,
the mass
Fred.
shootings that have been going on. Excuse me, I had too many thoughts going at the
Yes.
same time through my head. The mass shootings that have been going on and how it affects what we are preaching. Excuse me.
Yes.
Not only in the fact of you should carry a weapon to defend yourself, because the only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun, and how they're going to take this and twist it out of proportion and totally ignore the fact that it is a mental health problem where somebody is insane, delusional, psychotic, etc., and turn it into a gun problem.
Part of a cult, whatever it is.
Yeah, seriously.
And quite honestly, this whole topic was pretty much my current event. So I think we can talk about this for a good amount of time at the moment.
Yeah,
There was another one, like, I don't know if you guys, got it or not, but there was another shooting, but I'll wait.
Recently?
Yeah.
Like after the Boulder one?
I think it was before it, actually.
Oh.
the thing they've been saying is 7 days.
Yeah.
Which is totally bullshit. But hey, the Boulder one, of course, is the big one that's like sparking everything off, and it's just ridiculous that it continues that every time something like this happens, that it's immediately jump the gun. There it is. It's a gun problem.
Let's jumpstart the gun confiscation, the gun control, the stuff like that. And President Biden said this week that if the House and Senate don't do something about, or basically throwing in an assault weapon ban or a magazine ban or whatever it is, then he is going to use executive orders. Now, I know we've talked about this in the podcast before about the Second Amendment and the Constitution and stuff like that. I don't really think he can do that, and this is the big thing that I want to push to everyone that is listening. If you have a firearm like that, if you have like an AR-15 or anything like that, do not comply. I don't care what it takes. I don't care. Whatever it is, don't go and turn in your weapons. Whatever. This, like we talked about before in our civil disobedience, we have to... The only way that this is going to stop is if the people make a stand and stand up and say, no more. We will
not comply.
We're not going to comply with these draconian gun laws that have nothing to do with saving lives and everything to do with giving the government more power.
So one good example of this, of it doesn't do anything. When was the big gun ban? Like the
early
1994 to 2004 is 10 years. What happened right in the middle of that? 1999.
A big shooting.
Columbine?
Columbine, yeah.
Yeah. So you're in the middle of like the what is still by today's standards the most strict gun crackdown we've ever had, and in one of the worst shootings of that
loss of life,
that time frame happened right in the middle of it, right in the middle. Yeah, gun control is going to do something.
Or especially these rifles.
Good people, honest, I guess.
Dude,
well, I mean, that's the thing. And the people that keep these firearms, like go through the hassles of doing the things legally and all of that, they have no intention of doing anything wrong with their rifles.
I was going to get to this point, yeah.
And the people, like, again, are you going to ban crime? Guess what? It's already banned. You can't.
Crime's
criminal
illegal. You can't do it because it's bad.
Crime is illegal.
You can't do that. That's illegal.
But there's another. I think like what you were saying with the medical problem. It's a head game. Like there's a lot of people on SSRIs now, which is something. I can't remember what the hell it stands for, but I know it's like it suppresses.
Like antidepressants.
Yeah.
That.
It makes a chemical imbalance, and a lot of these people that whenever they're on them, they're not so bad, but as soon as they, failed it to take them, they go nuts.
No, that's how it always is with that type of stuff. It's not taking them, like you said. It's the stopping it.
Yeah, it's once they get off of it, but it just seems like that's whenever. And it's a constant variable with a lot of these different mass shootings. If you go and you look behind the smoke and mirrors of this, and you see, like, they were under some sort of SSRI or something. Like and almost all of them, it's a constant variable that I've noticed.
My favorite part of the shooting is the fact that as soon as it happened, everyone on the left was screaming, "This is what happens whenever you let white people go," and blah blah, like
gun
just
control.
White people, gun control. Like I'll bet however much money. I saw tons of quotes on Twitter and Instagram of people just saying before any information was out that this was a white man doing it. Now, how racist is that? If you were to say any other race like this, it's I'll bet you my whole monthly salary that it's a white guy or anyone. Is that not racist?
Dog whistles for the deluded.
I just, like we talked about before, like, with Morgan Freeman, like I'm tired of, the whole, it has to be a specific race, I mean, unless you're describing somebody like that's a fugitive, like, and you're actively searching for somebody. But if somebody's already caught and everything, you're just trying to say, like, oh, somebody did a bad thing. Why can't you just say it's a man that did something bad, a woman that did something bad, or, whatever? Like, does it freaking matter?
But they're instantly just pointing finger. Like, it's so...
Yeah, but they're making it a race
they're making
thing.
it a race thing. But it wasn't... The funny thing is it wasn't even a white dude.
Congratulations, you're not racist.
It was an immigrant. Or maybe not even an immigrant. I don't know. Was he an immigrant?
Syrian, right?
He was a Syrian refugee.
Yeah. Who knows if he was even as like? I mean, like.
I don't know. I don't know the details of his whole coming into the United States and all that. But regardless, it wasn't a white dude, and it doesn't really matter that he was a Syrian refugee. What matters is he did a bad thing, and therefore he should be punished for his actions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're absolutely not against punishment for your action, because obviously killing innocent life is not what we're freaking about. We are about protecting life,
so we're about as far opposite of that as you could get.
Yeah, and to go into that even further, what the biggest shame, or one of the bigger shames in all of this, is the fact that nobody was around to stop them. Nobody was concealed carrying. Nobody stepped up to the plate and tried to stop this person.
I wonder what it would have been like if this happened in Texas.
I mean, it really doesn't matter.
Because a lot of people carry guns in Texas.
It can happen anywhere, and I implore everyone that listens and everyone that watches to to take what, especially today, because we're going to talk about training, but take what we say to heart. If you have a concealed carry, if you can get a concealed carry, do it, because you could be the deciding factor between a ton of lives being lost and no lives being lost.
And your own.
And your own. Yeah. You, like, do you want to be a victim in these scenarios? Well, I personally don't.
All it takes is a moment to change everything. And that's not just this, that's everything, you know?
You may be in the wrong place at the wrong time, but you are the right person to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And you can do something about it. And anyone can do this. I don't care what you are, like, whatever you're doing. Carrying a weapon allows you to protect life.
Yeah, period. And the thing that gets me too is like, and this I'll move on from that. It's like what I said earlier. I briefly got into it. It's like no matter what the circumstances behind this or like leading up to it, it's just immediately a cry. It's immediately a cry for gun control, gun control, gun control.
Yeah, never waste a good.
Never waste a tragedy.
Yeah.
Well, they don't talk about, oh, maybe we should vet refugees that come into the country, especially ones that are military age males.
Yeah.
Oh, that's never a thing. Or, oh, maybe we should, care more about psychological problems or something. I don't know. Pick your subject that's obviously more of a problem than the whole fact that he got a gun. Which do we know if he even got it legally?
I have no idea.
I mean, if he was a refugee and wasn't,
I'm sure if it was obtained illegally, I'm sure that's being suppressed by media.
Well, that's what I'm getting. Well, so assuming we know he's a refugee. That's fact, right? So we don't know if he was a citizen or not. So if he was a citizen, could have got it legally through that channel. But if he wasn't a citizen, then he couldn't have got a gun legally.
Right.
I mean, unless you had. I mean, can you buy firearms if you have a visa?
No.
I don't think so.
I am fairly certain. No, you cannot do that.
Yeah, I mean that would make sense for them to restrict that. But so we don't even know if he got the gun legally or not. And these people are so twisted and sick that they don't care if they get a gun or a hammer or a truck full of fertilizer. They don't care. They just want to hurt as many people as they can as fast as they can.
That's the thing that a lot of people just don't understand is that people that don't value life, they don't care how they destroy it. Yeah, they will just do it by any means possible.
Yeah, because they're like
that is a special kind of heartless to be that kind of monster.
Yeah, seriously.
Like anybody that does any kind of harm to somebody else and that sort of nature, like trying to kill people, you are a special kind of monster and you deserve to be like punished.
Yeah, and well, you can even take this and look at like the UK banned their guns, knives were
ban the knives. Yeah. Now whatever improvised weapon,
hammers
trucks
are a problem.
Hammers, trucks.
I think the knives are worse than guns. Yeah, it's interesting getting stabbed, bleeding out for 10 minutes on the sidewalk.
I mean, in terms of humane, we talked about this before.
Yeah.
Would you rather be shot or stabbed? I would rather be shot.
Yeah, same here.
But so there's that. And then also, this is another thing that happened earlier this week, and probably not a lot of people have heard about it, but Sergeant Major of the Army 16, which is his name is Sergeant Major of the Army Grinston. He recently went on CNN after Tucker's comments about the females in the military. And I'll say Tucker's comments were not the greatest examples of females in the military, but Sergeant Major of the Army, who under Uniform Code of Military Justice cannot go onto a media platform and speak on political matters, like how would it be if a private did that? Like, are you setting a standard, Sergeant Major Grinston, that a private can go onto CNN and start spouting off whatever their political views are, or whatever that is, or any news media? It doesn't have to be CNN.
Depends on how much money they can pay him off.
It's against UCMJ. He should be Article 15. That's Sergeant Major of the Army.
Bye-bye.
That is a terrible precedent and a terrible standard to set for lower enlisted soldiers, lower subordinate leaders. It's just not the right thing. The military is supposed to be non-political. You are supposed to be non-political when in uniform.
A personal view.
We let that go a long time ago.
And the fact that he did this is just another hitch on the culture war that people need to be paying attention to. Like the military.
So it's treason then.
The military, the leader of the military, or the non-commissioned officer leader of the military, is going on CNN and spouting political nonsense. Left or right, like regardless, it does not matter. You are not supposed in uniform. You are not supposed to go onto any media platform and spout off about anything political. You are a non-political entity, and they specifically tell you in the military, don't talk about politics because that hinders the mission.
Was he in uniform? Because I don't watch.
Yeah.
I don't watch Comedy News Network.
Yeah.
Oh goody. Well.
John Burke was roasting him for like a week straight on his Instagram. He tagged him in like every post, and he was just literally. He was like, "Hey, are you gonna comment on this? Are you just gonna stay silent?" And he kept trying to deflect and being like, "We have more important issues to talk about right now." It's like, do we? Because
are you serious? Like,
you gotta defend us against China.
China.
Your own integrity is,
Your integrity is showing, sorry.
Yeah, like, for real, like, that's not important.
Patrick, your
Excuse
integrity is showing. Where? Oh, boy.
But that's something that was grinding my gears this past week.
Well, as it rightfully should. I mean, like you said, that's effectively if not effectively straight, it de facto is one of the faces of the military.
Yeah.
I mean, because he is, like, the top of the enlisted people.
Yeah, he is the highest enlisted in the Army.
And... again, that is the face of that entity.
He sets the standard.
Yeah,
I mean,
he
sets the standard. He's like the face of the military to external. Like, he talks to senators and congressmen and stuff like that. But he's also the face to all of the subordinate leaders and like soldiers
just
in the military.
Hierarchical chain,
like,
yeah.
It's just not a good standard to set for younger new soldiers and stuff like that, thinking that they should be able to use their status as a soldier, because obviously soldiers are held in high regard in our country, to spout off some kind of political bull crap.
And dude, like, that's just gonna be a snowballing effect. Like, that's just gonna cascade down to where everybody else feels like they're entitled to use their opinion.
I'll tell you right now, if a private went on to CNN or something happened and like a private was interviewed and they like actively went on CNN without their command knowing or anything like that, they would be absolutely freaking demolished. They would be
Dude.
Dark Souls, you died.
They would be sent to the gulag, and
dude,
their life would not be fun. And it's not just they're doing push-ups. No, they're getting their life ruined.
You're doing
dishonorable discharge potentially. It's crazy stuff like that.
You're doing push-ups, but you have to lift this tank. You're doing,
but yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so that leads into, I mean, more so. I mean, the second one definitely is important to anybody who's listening that's military. I mean, and anybody who's a civilian can extrapolate just I'll use that word, optics.
Yeah.
I hate that word, but I'll use that word, optics. The optics of how bad the optics are of the situation. Like, again, a figurehead of our military being a sleazebag. That, okay, you can extrapolate that, but again, I think the one that more people can relate to is the first one about the whole, they're going to take our guns.
Yeah.
And that is your wake-up call.
Wake up!
Yeah, so now is the time to start. If you haven't, no.
Honestly,
screw it. There's no time to start. You should be doing it already.
You should be doing it already. And right now is, if you don't have a firearm or anything like that, I would highly recommend that you go out and at least buy something and magazines for whatever you have.
Please don't buy a High Point,
because
or Glock.
It's coming down, and we don't know. I mean, you can do things like support Firearm Policy Coalition or Gun Owners of America. You can support them. Do not support the NRA because they don't do anything. But Firearm Policy Coalition and Gun Owners of America are two rights organizations that are good to donate money to if that's something. We're not sponsored by them or anything. It's just something that, if you care about our Second Amendment rights, they actively fight for our Second Amendment rights. And they show, like, if you go on their Instagram or anything like that, their socials, they'll show you all their all the lawsuits and stuff that they're in on.
Is there anybody that fights for our Seventh Amendment rights?
I don't think so.
There we go, guys.
I have a current event.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No. You guys are good. Like, that's why I said I was gonna wait. But there was a shooting. There was an officer shooting talking about the whole crazy guy stuff. There was a man in Florida.
Oh, goody.
Yeah, there's body cam footage out, and this man was, I don't know, he probably had been in his mid to late 60s, maybe early 70s. He's pulled into a gas pump, and he was literally had no idea what the hell he was doing. He was like, "Oh, my name's so and so, and you're trying to talk me to sleep," and like that's literally what he kept on saying. He's like, "You're trying to talk me to sleep. I'm gonna die. You're just gonna have to." He's telling these cops like, "You should just shoot me now because I'm gonna die sooner or later." And
What?
Yeah. So
Florida men.
dude, like there's
crazy.
there's always something going on in Florida.
You're using your magic voodoo powers to sleep. It's like, okay, buddy.
Yeah. So they like you watch this footage and everything, and these cops like at first there's only one, but then they start. By the end of the video, there's probably half a dozen to a dozen cops or so there.
200 cops.
They laid these spike strips out from under his car because he was saying he was going to run his car into a gas pump, and try and blow it up and everything. And they're like, no. And then he had a gun inside of his car, and the man's like finally rolls his windows up and he starts reaching for his gun and everything. And everybody and all these cops are pleading with this guy, like begging him not to like go and grab for the gun. Like they're begging him for 5.5 minutes straight. It seems like, out of nowhere, this guy just starts, pulling for the gun, and they obviously had to do what they had to do, and because he started pointing it, at one of the officers, and they ended up shooting the man.
It's like that Key and Peele.
It's sad because
bath salts are a hell of a drug.
If I implore everybody to look this up and watch it, because it really shows a testament like how much restraint these officers are actually going through to try and not do these horrible acts.
I mean, why didn't they restrain him prior to that though?
They tried to, like in the video they sprayed some mace in there, and the guy had his windows up, so
he was in the car.
Yeah, he's like completely in the car, and like they can't physically get to him.
Okay.
So they're trying to bash the windows open with their batons to try and get to him before he can actually reach for the gun. But after he, somewhat cleared his eyes and everything from the mace, he just reached for the gun and just started, pointing at one of the officers. And, I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
That becomes an armed conflict at that point.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter. I mean,
they have to value their lives and their fellow officers' lives.
That's what it boils down to. You got to. I mean, I hate to say going to the extremes of situations, but with that, especially where a single moment could be the
life and death.
Yeah, it literally could be. That's just how it works, fortunately.
And that guy made that decision, and I mean, I don't know if that guy was like on depressants or like on drugs or whatever it was.
But he didn't seem to be on it didn't seem to be on drugs, but they had asked him how long he had been awake for, and he's like, "Oh, I've been up for quite a while." And he's like, "But I can keep going for I can stay up for quite a long while."
4 days straight.
I mean, it's something. I don't know. I'm on it. If you're acting like that to police, and there's more police, and you're just continuing, like you either, like I don't know, you've got something's going on.
Oh, for sure. It's just sad that it had to go to that point. But the point that I'm getting at is
I don't remember.
that everyone thinks of officers as these trigger happy people, and literally in this video they did everything possible to try and not do that. Like they begged this man not to do that. Begged him. Like, and it's just it's incredibly sad.
That is very sad, and that sucks.
Yeah, I mean that just
for
sucks.
lack of a better word.
But yeah, I mean that's it for current events, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. We've already said the wake up, and then
so
training.
Yeah, our topic for today is training. What can you do? Where can you go? What can you do in order to train yourself for a plethora of different things? And I think the best way that we can do that is we can talk about what we do for training, and where we get our training, and all that. So I think we'll start from where we get our training. And for me personally, at least where the thing that started me on training was I started watching a few videos from T-Rex arms. And obviously, like, I did training in the military, so I had like that background of training. But also, once I started watching T-Rex arms, and Lucas is kind of preaching this whole self-reliance, protecting life, and doing that stuff. And I wanted, as soon as I got out of the Army, I bought my first concealed carry handgun. I wanted to make sure that I was well prepared to do what I needed to in the event that I needed to do it. So that's kind of what got me into starting to think about training, and starting to think about like actually using or practicing with this stuff in a practical application sense, not just especially firearms, especially standing on a range, like, and just sitting there and pulling the trigger and shooting the target, and then like just boring, not really running around or doing anything practical. You're just shooting the gun.
I would actually say we started earlier than that, and the whole quote unquote start into training for us, I think, was airsoft.
Oh yeah, I would definitely say that.
Yeah,
too.
and like not so much just like, again, the stationary stuff, but even back in the day, we would set up the targets and do like a quote unquote room clearing and stuff like that before we even were aware of T-Rex arms being a thing. So like we started way back when on that, and now that we are getting more into actual firearms. We are in the field of actual firearms, and we can do proper real training with it. It's just an adaptation of what we've been doing. It's the same thing we've been doing for years and years and years. It's just that you're taking it from that safety thing where, like, oh well, the gun just went off, whatever, it's an airsoft gun, it's not going to do anything too super serious.
Yeah, and understanding that, like, negligent discharges and pointing your weapon in a safe direction, always, like, honestly, every time I grab like an AR-15, my finger is way off the trigger, stuff like that. Like, all of that stuff it's kind of been like ingrained into our body from doing that so often. And that was probably that was my biggest hobby whenever I was a kid.
I do that now, like even anything that has a trigger.
Yeah, anything with a trigger.
Anything
it doesn't.
With a trigger, like I hold a
staple
drill,
gun,
I hold a drill or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I have, like, it's embedded into my
trigger
brain.
Discipline
that,
is embedded into your brain.
Yeah, like, and I think that's yeah, but I think that's a really good thing though, because that shows that that it's
muscle memory. It's literally you've done it to muscle memory,
and it's a unified discipline.
Yes.
Yep.
Because, I mean, it's a trigger regardless. It could be the trigger for, again, a pellet gun. It could be the trigger for an AR-15. It could be the trigger for a nail gun. Like a cannon.
Anything.
So cannon. That one, you always keep your finger in the trigger. But seriously, I do that all the time as well. And then I also do the thing where I immediately pick up a gun, magazine out, rack it a couple times.
Yeah.
I mean, just without even thinking about it.
Yeah, if you're just showing off or whatever.
No, I mean, like, even if I'm just picking anything up at all, it's just function check, or not function check, but clear it. Make sure there's nothing in it.
I mean, if it's not mine, but I mean, I know another thing is knowing the status of your weapon. We've talked about this before, but the status of your weapon at all times. If it's yours, like, I know, like, as we speak, as we sit here, my handgun is at my appendix with a bullet in the chamber, and I'm not waving around and shooting anyone or doing anything like that. It is safely where it always is. But just stuff like that. Like, that's kind of what got us into, I guess, training. Blackbeard, do you have?
I mean, I kind of started, like, I guess, I mean, it would have been earlier than you guys, but it would have been amongst the same sort of concepts. And I started with airsoft,
paintball.
And then
I was expecting you to say paintball. Yeah.
Well, honestly, I started with airsoft first. Like, I bought an airsoft gun before I started actually into paintball, but competitive paintball is where I really got my team mechanics down, more or less, than anything. But in terms of, weapons mechanics, it was definitely airsoft because I mean maybe even a little bit earlier
Heck,
than
we
that,
even,
because
I
I bought
airsoft's just closer to. I mean,
my
yeah.
my parents bought me a BB gun, a little Red Ryder, BB gun, whenever I was probably 6 or 7 years old. So, my old man, he was very adamant about trigger discipline,
Yeah.
muzzle, awareness and everything. So that was kind of where that started.
Heck, you can. I mean, I shot my first gun whenever I was very young. But another thing that I just thought about as we were talking about this is how much did we play Nerf before we played airsoft?
Man, we had so much fun with
Yeah,
Nerf.
and exact same principles apply. Like, at least for the safety thing, like, don't point a weapon.
Shoot someone in the eye with
Yeah,
it.
don't just swing it around. Trigger discipline, all of that. Like, it's kind of. Some of us have kind of grown up on that. That whole mindset of like weapon safety and that, and Nerf gun. I mean, we may not have thought about it back then, but to get kids comfortable around firearms and stuff like that.
That's the whole reason Nerf like that. The Nerf guns existed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy to think like how far back that if you really think about it, like
how long
where
you've been
it
exposed.
started,
Yeah.
Oh,
like into firearms, in the whole, training, aspect of it.
Yeah,
Like,
obviously.
just I mean, playing around as a kid, and you're playing around with your friends, and you are doing like Nerf gun wars or
I mean,
whatever
back-
have you. You're still moving around and trying
And
to
team and
you're
achieve a
still
goal, yeah.
You're like you said, you're trying to achieve a goal.
See, I was worried. I mean, this isn't so much with like competitive and like the stationary stuff gets in here, but like I remember when I was young, like 6, 7, actually doing competition shooting. Like when I was a little kid against like 8-year-old guys. I read that was awesome. So like you said, it just starts with that one thing, and I mean,
Yeah, for us, that's where it started.
I'm just gonna borderline say that I have an addiction to firearms.
Yeah.
And
I
I have
think we
no
all
intent
agree
on
to
stop.
that.
I have no
Yeah.
intent on stopping.
They're fun. They're confidence boosting.
It's
they're
not
all
good.
that.
It's not good for you. It's like screw you. You don't know what's good for me.
It's not good for your wallet though. Like that's the
Oh,
only
man,
thing.
no.
It's horrible for your wallet.
Oh yeah.
What would you rather have? Would you rather have $1,000 in cash, or would you have a nice brand new X5 Legion?
You know the answer to this.
Oh yeah, I know the answer to that. But
So we started there, and then the way that we became, I guess, more disciplined and more, what's the word, focused on the whole training aspect. And I mean, I think I've kind of killed the word training, because if I say it, I think it hurts people's feelings. But the training aspect of it started like whenever the riot happened in our town, and we figured that it is time for us to, or we should probably be a bit more prepared for this kind of scenario. If we're going to partake in like the defense of an area or people or property or whatever it may be, we should probably be much more prepared for the problems that may arise. So at that point, like I had already gotten out of the army and everything, and I kind of spearheaded the whole, we should get better at this. We should get better at communication, get better at all that. Weapons manipulation, just being proficient at I'll even say like none of us are anywhere near advanced, but my biggest goal is to get as many people as I can, as proficient as I can with running whatever gear and firearms and stuff that they run, so that if push comes to shove, they can protect themselves and protect other people around them.
well, that's the entire concept of why you train, is that way. I'd like to say it like you train with the hopes that you won't really need.
No, yeah, absolutely.
It's all
And it's not important.
preventative maintenance. It's like preventative maintenance on your car. I mean, that's an analogy. It's like you have to be a proficient with it, just in the event that it's insurance.
It is insurance.
Yeah, that's the best way to explain it. I would say you prepare and you're proficient enough and you're comfortable enough with what you're doing, or being around other people that are doing the same thing is a big one we've realized. And you have to be ultra comfortable with doing that. You have to be focused. You have to be committed to it. And training helps you establish all that. Because the moment everything goes live and you have other people firing around you, the entire game changes.
Yeah, and you, like, for instance, maybe you shoot a gun like twice a year. Like, you bought your gun, you conceal carry it sometimes, not all the time. You shoot it out on the range like twice a year. and maybe that one day that you chose to carry your firearm, there's an active shooter situation, and you are wholly unprepared. Do you even feel confident enough to do something about that situation, even if you're carrying?
Is your mind in the right state?
Yeah, are you in the right state? Have you trained your mind? Have you thought about this scenario before? Because if you haven't, then you're just simply not going to be prepared.
Even if you train religiously all the time and something like comes up, you're still not going to be fully prepared for
No,
it.
absolutely not.
But you're going to be better off than someone who's never done anything.
Yeah, if you were, like, we've talked about this in mindset, but you war game a lot of this in your head, like where's cover, what happens if something happens here, who do I have to protect, who do I have to get out of here, just stuff like that
at 10 trillion miles an hour.
Yeah. And it gets you ready, and it gets you more prepared. So if something were to happen, and I'll be the first one to say, none of this whole training thing and whatever, everyone's gonna look at you like you're crazy until something happens.
And then you're going to be the hero.
And then they're going to regret.
Not even hero, like
not doing it.
Not even hero, but just you were prepared to handle it, whereas the people around you were not. And that's the biggest thing.
You pull an evac on their house, you like bust their front window, like, come on, we're leaving this town.
Come with me if you want to live,
brother. Grab my hand.
But so that would be, I would say, why we train, or the value, what you get out of it. And you just get more confident. I think it builds confidence in a ton of other areas just by doing it.
I'd say it boils down to three things: confidence, familiarity, and
competence.
Yeah, we'll use competence. That's a great word for that. So I think those are the three big reasons, and then you can kind of discern anything from there.
Yeah.
Why you train.
And you can like this. I want to get more into some of the other stuff that we're doing. And I mean,
here you go. Confidence. Confidence. I said
competence.
Confidence, competence, and comfort. The 3 C's of training. There you
the
go.
3 C's.
Okay.
Hey,
I like that.
Hey, that works for me.
Yeah. But like you said, we and I think you're going to segue into the next thing.
Like, it doesn't just have to be firearms. It can be literally anything. Like, our group of friends is doing a camping trip, and the camping trip is partially to have fun with our friends, obviously, and partially to get some training together with a big group of people where they got nothing else to do but hang out, and just we can practice working as a team and practice
wilderness survival.
Test out our 3-day bags and stuff like that.
Tree over there.
all of that stuff that you don't normally try, and just like if you never set up a tent, do you know how to set up a tent?
Yes, I know how to set up a tent.
Right,
I'm just saying, like,
simple,
if you never
do you know your lashings? Like, a lot of people
can you do you know how to get wood? Do you know what to eat in the woods? Do you all of that stuff? Are you physically capable of carrying a log somewhere or anything like that?
Can you carry?
So he's carrying a whole tree on his shoulders, like, oh my god.
Well, can you carry 3 days worth of gear? Through the woods.
Like how heavy of a bag are you carrying? Like, how much? And it goes back to that question that they used to ask in elementary school. Like, if you're stuck on a deserted island, you only had one thing. Well, that's really unrealistic, because I carry a bag on me. At one point, am I only going to have one thing?
Well, if you could have just one thing, what would it be? Easy thing for me.
Probably a fire starter.
For me, it'd be a really good multi-tool.
Yeah, I mean, you bang some rocks together and fucking make it a hatchet. It'll be fine. Unga dunga.
Is this Minecraft? Or?
Is this Minecraft? Minecraft is not training kids.
God.
All right, guys, I'm leaving this episode and go punch a tree.
I'm gonna punch these rocks.
That's a perfect square.
Yeah. I've unlocked potential that you will never. Limitless power. I can punch perfect 16 by 16 blocks.
Oh God. Yeah, but I think with that we get into how you train.
How do you train? Well, how do we train? some of the things that we do we do a ton of stuff. We do flat range stuff. We do airsoft. We do what else do we do?
We do well, flat range I would break that up. So we do like a little bit of stationary. We do a lot of up drills. We do movement stuff. We do like actual like team exercises where we do movement with with
movement
teams,
with other people, shooting with other people.
bounding.
Yeah.
Mag swaps.
Well, reload drills.
Working like the weapons manipulation, stuff like that.
What would you count the ones where we say a little bit more a little more specific than just team movement, like where we bound between targets, do like actual cover,
cover move, like saying like communication in those
Communication is a really big part of that.
It's huge
because if you don't communicate, then you're not gonna know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like if I'm going from point A to point B, and you don't, and I say, like
you don't say anything or like
yeah, and I just go there,
or...
then you could be
turn into
be
Leroy
muzzle
Jenkins.
swept and not and not even realize it.
Do you hear what I just said?
Yeah.
Wait, what'd you say?
I said you turn into Leroy Jenkins.
So, for instance, we do this one drill that I think is actually really good because it kind of incorporates a ton of different shooting fundamentals, especially whenever you're like moving and shooting, and especially with other people. You can do this solo, you can do this with other people, but we basically set up 2 targets and 2 shooting positions. And what we'll do is we will start the timer. The person that is going will run to that shooting position, fire however many rounds that we have allotted for them to shoot at that. Then they will run to the next position, and in that position or in any, like, you can, it's so dynamic, this drill that I like. You can throw like all kinds of stuff. You can do like reload drills on the move. You can do reloads in between targets. You can do
dummy rounds.
You can practice malfunctions while you're also practicing the shooting and moving aspect. The shooting from cover, you're utilizing cover, you're firing at a target, and then once that target is neutralized, or you think it's neutralized, you're going to move to the next target and neutralize the next or the next position and neutralize the next target. And you can do that with 2 people. So instead of you moving to both situations, you're bounding, which is basically means for lack of a better word, just cover and move. If one person is covering fire, the other person is moving, and you're bounding either forward towards the enemy or back to a better fighting position. And you can do that like one person, and that's where you throw in the communication stuff, where you can just, like, as soon as someone gets set up and ready to fire, the other person isn't just running out without the first guy providing covering fire. And in a firefight, they might not know, they just hear firing anyway, so they may just run out in the middle of nowhere without any cover, and yeah, so you
have one less person on your team.
So that's the second person that is going to bound forward while you're providing cover fire needs to listen to the first dude and make sure that the first dude is providing cover fire and is putting the enemy's head down. So then the next person can move, and that person can move to a flanking position and maybe take out the enemy or the target or whatever needs to be done,
and hopefully not die.
Yeah, like the whole point of all of this training is not dying. What is going to give me the best tools to not die?
You died, man.
And virtually your mind is your best tool.
Until it gets fucking scooped off.
And everyone,
seriously.
And guess what? I don't care how much training you have. I don't care how much gear you have. Everyone is killable. Lucas and the people that we look up to for training and stuff like that, they're killable. They even say they're killable. Like, no one is immortal, and these are preventative maintenance so that you can prevent yourself from dying or making yourself a harder target.
Again, insurance.
Yeah.
I mean, training is insurance against death.
Yes.
Effective. I mean, again, boiling a very complicated subject down to a very simple phrase. And I don't think, I mean, that's a pretty easy one to sell, I think.
I would say so as well.
Do this, your likelihood of dying will go down.
Yeah. You are lowering your likelihood of dying. That's
the probability.
That's the biggest thing. So we do that drill. Other drills we do up drills where we're standing stationary, and this is usually what we do for warm-ups is we go in the range and then just practice getting weapon on target and firing, and doing that a couple times just to get like us back in the groove of weapon manipulation and moving the weapon to do it.
Yeah, we try to get it underneath the second.
Yeah.
Put some quantifying numbers on this so people
Yeah.
get. I mean,
like set our own standards, look at other people, and try to develop like a proficiency standard that like not everyone's gonna be lightning fast all the time.
It's like, holy crap, he just drew his weapon, got a bullseye in 0.3 seconds.
Well, I think, in the aspect of this, there should be somewhat of a competitive nature between the group of people, because I mean, you should try, because I mean, that's a driving force.
Yeah.
Like, it helps you want to be faster. Like,
Yeah.
so like,
and it's more fun. Like,
yeah,
there's
it really,
no reason.
it does make it fun. So me and Raptor, we're doing a firing drill. Like fire two, reload. Fire one. Like whoever's faster, maybe the
faster,
loser,
better, more accurate, whatever it is.
Whoever loses has to do like 10 push-ups or something. Like that. I mean that.
Or inherently, what happens is the person that was slower, if say they were slower by 0.05 seconds, they're like, shit, I can get that.
Oh,
down.
I can
Like
get that
you
down.
can
Yeah.
do better.
Yeah,
Like
and
this,
it
the more you
motivates
do it.
everyone. It motivates everyone.
You push off of one another.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what it does. And I mean, and that's not something. I mean, that just exists inherently.
Yeah,
And you get better.
Yeah, everyone gets better because of it, and that's I think a lot more fun with shooting without like shooting by yourself. Maybe you don't have like a large group of friends, or maybe you're just by yourself. But try to find a group of people that you can run with, that you can feel confident with, that you can
Even
test
trust.
yourself.
Even one other
against.
person is more than one other person is more value than the two people individually added together.
Yes.
Because not only everything we've said, something else too is like if you're running through a drill and there's somebody else there to watch you, that's like your teammate or something like that. They're like, oh man, well
Critique
it's
you.
going great except for you did this, and it's something that you're not going to realize when you're doing it because you have 10,000 other things going on in your head and the adrenaline's going and everything. But it might be something stupid that's an important thing to deal with. And you lack that perspective because of the situation, so somebody else can
You can't
provide
sit
feedback.
outside the box and watch yourself.
That would be
Well,
weird.
you
wouldn't
kind
it?
of can though, and I kind of want to bring this up. So something that I do personally whenever I'm training alone is I record myself.
See, I don't-
I was going to suggest that as an alternative. Yes.
I mean, I know you could do that, but I mean, I've never
It's
done
super useful for me. Like I'll sit there, like I'll record myself, especially like the one Instagram post we did, where I shot 5 with my AK, I did a reload, swapped targets, and shot 5 more. I watched that short like 8-second video, probably about 1,000 times.
Oh,
breaking
Just
it,
critiquing yourself.
like looking, and each time I would watch it, I would pick a different like motion that I'm doing. I would watch where my eyes are going whenever I'm doing a reload. My like as I and I I mean I watched it the whole time, but my eyes basically follow whatever I'm doing, and also
welcome to how
and
coordination
oh yeah,
works.
but just breaking everything down and seeing like where you can improve like time or accuracy, or maybe you're doing something that is a lot more movement than you need to. Like in that video, whenever I racked it after I reload, I turned the gun to the side. That is a movement that is unnecessary, and I could have cut down a lot of time from my reload just by keeping the weapon straight and on target, and maybe doing like an over the top thingy or an underneath the mag reload. Rack.
I find the under the mag reload easier, especially when we put optics and stuff on. I guess it's about the same distance.
I mean I'm still trying to work it out, because so I did that, and that was probably a little close. That was like 5 something seconds, a little over 5. And then the other day, I was just testing reloads, and I did it that way a few times, and I was getting 5.7 seconds. And then I tried something different where I grabbed another mag, used the other mag to rack it out, and put it in rack it. And even because I was still turning the gun to the side whenever I like racked it or whatever, I cut it down by a whole second. I went down to 4.6.
That's what 20%. That's pretty significant there.
So just you do that, and you can continue to like better yourself, see where your deficiencies are, and be more cognizant of your deficiencies. So you're making better time of your training. And like if you're just going on the range and shooting and being like, oh yeah, I did a good job, without really even knowing like what you did or if you did anything,
It's effective
yourself.
yeah.
You have to, I think you have to be hard. The person you have to be hardest on is yourself.
Yeah.
In terms of training with people or whatever. Like, it's easy to criticize other people for, their inefficiencies, but, I really think that, if you're going to be the one preaching it, you have to be hardest on yourself. And, if there's going to be anybody to criticize, you should be criticizing yourself more so than anybody else.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I try to be as critical as myself as possible, and I mean, for mental health, that's not great, but it works for getting better at things.
Well, there's different types of criticism.
There's self-hate.
Yeah, there's self-hate.
Don't do the self-hate.
I mean, if you're like the millennial type, you're kind of boned.
You're just infinitely sad.
But
that's how we live.
True constructive criticism, like what you said, where you actually sit there and you
break
in-depth
down.
analyze and break down everything that you did in an effort to make it better. It's literally criticism, but I don't look at it like that. I look at that as part of the building blocks that you're doing to make yourself a more proficient and more like a better shooter.
Yeah, I mean, criticism has a negative connotation, but I mean, it is constructive. You're constructively criticizing yourself. You're trying to see where your deficiencies are and just getting better.
It's all in how you take it. You know, if you want it to be a positive thing, then it's going to be one.
Yeah, and if you keep messing up, then you can record yourself or have someone else like maybe break down like something that I have a lot of trouble with is being confident with handguns. So anytime I'm with someone that's confident with handguns, I'm gonna ask them like, can you like watch me and criticize everything that I'm doing, see if there's something that I'm doing wrong that I can fix or something like that. I like at this point I need to take a class because no one's been able to give me like for sure answer to what I'm doing and what's going on. But
I'll help you.
Yeah, I tend to throw some. I mean, if I'm fast, if I do like my quick as fast as I can, target in front of me, beep, draw, and shoot, I can hit the target where I wanted to. But if I'm just like aiming, like both hands, whatever, good grip. The only deficiency that I saw in my grip, anyways, is sometimes I have the tendency to lock my arms instead of doing.
That's a really common thing because I mean, that's
because
just
you punch out.
Yeah, everybody just wants to punch the whole way
Yeah,
out.
you punch the whole way out instead of like stopping just a little bit, so then your arms have a little bit of retention, or you kind of arms act as a suspension system. But so for whatever reason, I always shoot like lower left of where I'm aiming. And that's just something I'm worried. Like I shoot a good grouping, lower left of where I'm aiming, but
that's pretty relatable because you're right eye dominant, right?
Yeah, left eye dominant.
You're left eye dominant.
Yeah, okay, I'm right-handed, left eye dominant.
Yeah, see, because I have left eye dominance too, and I kind of shoot like bottom right usually.
Yeah, so
it might just be my gun though.
I don't think it's your gun. Because I thought it might be my gun whenever I was using my 365, but then. I started shooting other people's guns, and I do the exact same thing with everything else.
Go figure. That's why I use a 365.
And most of 90% of the time, it's not the equipment; it's you.
Well, I just didn't know about how I had it sighted in or whatnot. You know.
I mean, obviously, it could be that too, but it just comes down to like you could actually even correct that maybe more with like a red dot than regular
iron sights.
Yeah, than iron
you
sights.
Absolutely could. Yeah,
like, you could set the dot to correct for your shitty shooting.
Just the thing with shooting with a red dot though, like that's a really hard thing to overcome for a lot of people, just because there is a lot of variables that come with.
On a pistol with a red dot, the learning curve was interesting.
It is. It's a very hard thing to sort of like.
Yeah, I haven't shot it much, but like just from punching whenever you first got it and punching out, like it took me a couple times to like every time I punch out the dot is visible, but after you do it so many times and you get the muscle memory of it, and it's just like anything.
Yeah,
any other thing.
Once the fundamentals are down, it's extremely easy, but it seems to be the learning curve of acquiring that red dot,
that sight, finding the sight,
finding
how you
sight.
have to hold it, and
it's getting the idea of the where the dot needs to be inside of the sight, since it doesn't have there's no anti-parallax or anything on it. So, and then it's like, oh, I finally got the red dot on. It's like, it only cost me $30,000. Why? I shot like a whole box of ammo.
Yeah. I mean, you can get the red dot without even firing. Yeah, like I said, you just punch out. You practice drawing your weapon. I do that all the time with iron sights. You don't have to pull the trigger. You don't have to do anything. Just practice getting it. And another thing to practice whenever you're doing handguns is as you're pulling out, to have your finger on the wall of the trigger basically as you're coming out. So basically,
that's what I do.
So as soon as it's come, you've presented the firearm, you can pull the trigger, and it makes you that much faster.
You're effectively in like ready position.
Yeah, you're ready to go.
Yeah, but I mean, so all that training is pretty effective, and I think one of the themes for all that is we try to leverage what equipment and what surroundings we have at a given time into the training, which that's something we can't really explain over like a podcast.
I mean, you can see it in the videos that we put out every once in a while. You can see like the surroundings and how we move and stuff like that. We still haven't done like we have some footage of us moving and shooting, but I'm not super happy with it, so we're gonna.
I'm more so saying like we can't explain to people how to replicate that because
Yeah.
it's depend figure out whatever your
whatever your range
is.
Or wherever allows for movement. Like if you have to go to a public range, then it's probably a lot harder. But
I don't think they'll like people running
around and shooting right next to each other and stuff like that. But that's another thing we talked.
Flying the entire group. I don't care. I'm accurate.
That's like last time we talked about airsoft. Like you can train those fundamentals and stuff. There's other means of going about. Like you don't have to have land, or you don't have to know someone with land or stuff like that. Like you can do airsoft to train those fundamentals or practice that stuff, or you can do it in your house. I don't recommend walking around your house with loaded weapons or training with loaded weapons, but like sweep the house. Your mom says sweep the house. Go ahead and sweep the house.
How did I know that we were going there with this?
That was long-winded into a good meme.
Yeah.
So, I'd say like, what are some quick advice that we give people? That'll be like our send-off.
I would say criticize yourself. Be realistic with yourself. Do not check your ego is, I think, the biggest thing. With whatever you're doing for training, whether it be whatever, you are not the best. There is always somebody better. So check your ego. Don't think you're the greatest, and continue to improve yourself. Don't let your mind plateau yourself.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice.
Get your reps in. Like, cause I mean,
if you think you're good, keep training.
Yeah, keep going.
Keep going.
You're good. That's great.
That's great. Do better.
Yeah, there's.
If you won't be hard on you, I will.
Yeah, there should be no ceiling to your training capability and where your skill level is. Like there's always another level that you can reach.
Another thing, this is a perishable skill.
Yeah. And if you don't continue it, it will. It's not like riding a bike.
Yeah.
There was a thing we used to say when I was in engineering more. They said that the half-life of an engineer is 5 years. That means that if you spend 5 years, you forget half your knowledge. I would argue that this is a lot faster than that. Especially like, I had moved away and came back after several years, and I wasn't able to do any shooting or anything like that just because of my schedule and because the area I lived in and stuff like that. And when I came back, it was like, wow, this is, I lost a lot.
And you gotta think about like a lot of the technology, and there's advancements everywhere with firearms, so a lot of that changes.
Yeah, so if you were really good in like 1960 as a young whippersnapper and you're running around with your revolver, and now it's 2021 and we've got striker fire handguns and AR-15s coming out the wazoo. The times have changed, old man. It's time to pony up.
Is that pistol chambered in 12 gauge?
It sure is.
It's my judge, baby.
Oh God.
But don't settle on yourself. Like, hold yourself accountable. Continue to push yourself. And this, like you said, this is a perishable skill. So,
well, I think what you just said is not even just training. That's just life.
Yeah.
And and with your friends too, I think you should hold them to the same standard that you hold to yourself, and that also drives them to want to be better.
Hold them to a higher standard than you.
Oh, I mean, I get in a lot of trouble for doing that.
Yeah, well, I hold myself to a super high standard.
I definitely hold myself to a higher standard than I do my friends, but I still hold my friends to a high standard, which is why I have a select group of friends, and I don't really deviate from the outside. Like, we may add like one or two people here and there, but if there's...
Do they get the weird... they get the weird eye.
Yeah. Or you, like, just... for us, we have a group of friends that all hang out regularly and do stuff and all that. And, like, sometimes there's new people here and there. Sometimes they stay in, they're assimilated into the group, and sometimes they go off. But, like, for the most part, there's a core group.
I think that's a really good thing to have, because that team ability, you start to understand everybody's,
weaknesses,
strengths and weaknesses, and
that goes back to our network episode.
Yes, networking.
Yeah.
Check that episode out if you haven't seen it already.
And heck, you don't even have to train to really do that. Like, you can, if you're around like a group of people for long enough, and you kind of start picking apart their personalities and seeing what they're good at, what they're bad at, stuff like that. And then
be useful later.
Yeah, then utilizing
how can I use you?
Like, understanding that, just understanding that as a thing is like a big deal.
You learn the hierarchy.
The pecking order.
The pecking order, yeah.
Do you guys have anything else, Dags? I have a good last one.
I'm good if you got something.
Shoot.
Yeah, so if you aren't able to really work with people because of your situation or whatever, or even if you are, you could do the recordings and review them and then send them on our Discord.
Yeah. Hey, that's
then we'll
massive
you.
brain.
We will hold you to a standard.
Either critique you or compliment the hell out of you.
Yeah, you may be way better than us.
Yeah. And if you are, kudos to you.
Yeah,
I'm not like props.
Yeah, I'm not scared of sucking. I know at some things I suck at, and I'm not scared to say it, but I'm also going to work at improving them.
Well, if you suck, you know how much you suck compared to a specific offset, and that gives you a goal.
Yeah.
I want to be better than you.
Yeah, I mean that's what it boils down to. Welcome to living.
I want to be better than Lucas. That's gonna take a long time.
Good luck with that one.
Could happen.
Your job title literally has to be like professional shooty boy.
Yeah, or just have infinite ammo.
Yeah.
With infinite ammo, you could do a lot.
Wonder if Nozzle will sponsor us.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's get Wolf Ammo to sponsor us.
Oh goody.
7.62 or 5.45.
This is Soviet steel.
I'm having a great time shooting my AK. It's much more fun than firing my AR.
You changing over?
I think I've been converted.
How dare you? That's not good networking.
See, I like the AK because again, more operator than the AR.
It looks cooler.
It looks cooler.
And that's like 2/3 of the battle at least. And then also the fact that it just, to me, it's more fun to shoot. Like, after swapping to my AR, it's so like plinky and like puny and small.
I hate you.
So my opinion on it is, I think the AR is a much more polished firearm.
It's so much more polished. Like, whenever you fire it, it's so much more polished.
I just think the ARs are a lot easier to shoot. The control system's a lot easier. The magazines are a lot easier. But I almost exclusively shoot with an AK.
Yeah.
Are we going to a nostalgic factor of an AK?
It's kind of like a more the best way I can manual.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say,
it's kind of like
manly?
It's kind of like driving manual, is because you kind of have to do everything yourself, in the sense that like.
I was gonna sum it up by saying that it is more challenging.
Even
though it's not like challenging, it's still more effort than shooting an AR.
Yeah, and obviously, I'm not going to sit here and say the AK is the best platform. It's definitely not. The AR, especially in the United States, is the best platform, and I still have an AR, and I'm not going to get rid of the AR, and I'm not going to stop training with the AR. But at the moment, I'm enjoying training with the AK.
Plus,
I think it's real. I mean, like what you're saying. I like what you're doing with that, though. Is you want to be proficient with both weapons models.
Yeah, at a minimum, the AK and the AR is basically what I'm most.
Yeah, I mean, if you run into anything, like those are going to be your two most common, platforms.
Not even that. If you know how to run an AK and you know how to run an AR, how many guns are built off of each of those? The answer is a lot.
Yeah,
a lot. And once you know the controls for those and are comfortable with those, you can adapt those to 90% of firearms.
Yeah,
and at least in the semi-automatic.
I mean, they both are so different in the sense that they have different. Like, the AR has like bolt hold open, and it's got a just standard push the magazine into the slot. whereas the AK is like a rock-in, and then the AR has a bolt release. The AK doesn't have a bolt release, and you have to
Fire
manually
control.
whatever. The fire controls are different.
The operating systems, because you know how to clean them if they're your guns, and those two right there pretty much cover the majority of firearms. Again, that are semi-automatic.
At least the most common ones, which are direct impingement.
Unless you get into super bizarre stuff, then they're
freaking. You got orange tier gear, and you're dropping stuff like Fortnite, freaking HKs and
is this a
PS90s
and MCXs.
Is this a G11? Does this have a cuckoo clock inside of it? Yeah,
it sure does.
It sure does.
That MCX though, man, that's gonna be my next purchase for sure.
MCX.
300 blackout MCX would be pretty cool.
That would be so cool.
I don't know if I want to go with the blackout or the 5.56.
I just want.
If I had a suppressor, if I had an MCX, that would be the gun that I suppress, and if it was a 300 blackout, then it would definitely be the one I suppress.
I just want to get a 300 blackout because I don't have one.
I want one, but at the same time I don't want to like have too many guns to the point where like
of the round
I don't
is what
give a shit about the
No,
ballistics.
I do. I care
it's
about
the best home defense round.
If I care about
I'll
ballistics,
say that.
I'll just
yeah, but I mean, like if I want that to be, because I'm more or less thinking of like that being my primary duty rifle.
5.56 all day.
Yeah, that's kind of why I
5.56 or 5.45, depending on your group of people.
If I cared about accuracy, I would just get my AR.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I'm kind of working towards the 5.56 version of that rifle, just because.
Or you could be crazy and get a 5.56 AK.
I have a couple.
Well, if I was going to go that route, I would go with an ARAC.
Or the SOCOM 47 type thing.
Knight's Armament.
It's a.
That thing is so cool.
It's a AK. It runs off of AK mags.
Yes, I call them SOCOM. There's a bunch of names for them. I call them SOCOM 47s.
The SOCOM 47 specifically is Knight's Armament. They're the ones who made the. You know they're
the mutant.
Mutants.
That's CMMG. You know, the same people who developed the SOCOM 47 are the same people who developed the SR-25 and the Mark or the M 110. I think it's all the same company.
But that's basically an AR-15 with it takes AKs and 7.62 bullets. But I like the idea, or I just like.
I'll say I like the round of the AK, but I like the efficiency of the AR.
Well,
I think
7.62 is just not as good of a round as 5.56.
No, but I like. I think in real world application, for where we are, I think it's very sufficient for what.
Yeah, in terms of visibility, like because 7.62 kind of dies off around like 300 meters. Like you can still hit stuff farther than that, but its effective range is about 300 meters. Whereas I would say the effective range of an AR-15 is like 500 to 600. Yeah.
I mean that comes down to shooter too. I mean,
it also comes down to shooter proficiency. If you can't shoot that far with either, then you just like you're not gonna. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, you're sucking.
But at that point, it just delegates down to pure ballistics.
Yeah.
Especially like the AK bullet itself is. It's like
fatter.
Fatter.
Shooting a fist at people.
It's a lot fatter, and
why you think I run a 50?
It's slower.
It's slower and it's thicker. It's a thick boy. It's a thick bullet.
How many C's?
A lot. 123 C's.
That's what that stands for.
Because it's 123 grain.
Jeez, but like I said, it just comes down to that drag and drag is a coefficient of surface area of the actual bullet. So if you have a bullet that's bigger, you're gonna have more drag.
Yep.
I mean, it's the drag coefficient the same between them. So the 5.56 is just a better round.
Yeah, that's why I pay attention to ballistics so much, because like I want the best well-rounded round that I can get
for your like standard. And then if you specialize into something else, like maybe you got that force reset trigger and you're building a light machine gun type build, or maybe you got a bolt gun or a shotgun for breaching, whatever it is.
With the 6.5,
I think like most militaries, I would say like everyone carries their standard rifle, which is like the M4, and then they also have their secondary rifle or like their job role, which is like support gun or sniper or whatever it is. They still have their main weapon. So if you build like a secondary platform, then you can do whatever you want with that, and then you have your like main like
M14,
your thing. Your main squeeze, an AR-15, AK, whatever it is, depending on your group. Like your group maybe all be running FALs. I don't know. What if you get that's an interesting group.
What if you get a super clapped out SKS.
Hey, I mean, hey, if you're poor and I mean, SKSs they're not
They're kind
good.
of junky, yeah.
They're not good, and they're honestly too expensive right now. SKS, I mean, they used to be like $1, but now they're like $600 in climbing.
That seems to be like like. I hate to say this, I really do. I really hate to say this, but it seems like right after PUBG, came out, like everybody started going out and buying these SKSs.
They're so ugly.
Like, and then I wish people understood.
Like 4 or 5 of them over there.
And I wish people understood like how realistically garbage they are compared
ergonomically,
to
there's a lot. There is a lot that the SKS screws up on.
Yeah. And it's not the most ergonomic platform anymore. There's stuff that is much better, much shorter, much more effective at whatever job it does.
The weight.
Yeah, the weight.
God.
I mean, you've got a full wood stuff. I mean, I guess you can get polymer stuff. If you want to like go ham and like run a whole polymer tactical angel cuss whatever
at that point you may
stock,
as well
if you're gonna
buy an AR.
AR, or if you want the 7.62, then the AK. Like you might as well buy those.
What about a clapped out Mosin?
You know it. It's full send.
You know what?
Scav life.
I would do that.
Whatever floats your goat.
I would do that in a heartbeat. I love the Mosin.
Yeah, Mosins are going up too. They used to be like $100. Now they're like more than that.
Yeah, there was a guy that came into one of the local shops there, and I think he bought one for $180.
I got mine for $100.
Dude, this
I got mine.
Not recently. I mean, I've had it for a long time.
Years ago. But
I got mine for 4, but it's the matching numbers PU sniper. Everything's all numbers matching.
The sniper blade.
That's a cool gun.
I don't know how we got on to selecting different firearms,
Who
but
knows?
I think that was me. That was definitely
welcome to the magic of our show.
Yep. But
yeah,
so
but you want to train with all those.
Yeah.
Like that's you definitely want to train with all those rifles.
I would like to
Don't hold yourself, to 1 or 2 styles of rifles or sidearms. You want to train with them all.
train with whatever you think is most proficient. But also, I wouldn't say like don't go out and buy a ton of guns and then like not know how to use all of them.
Yeah, you want to be
like get good with whatever you're using, or like kind of build a kit and then like secondary look into other stuff. Like build a kit, gain some proficiency with running it and whatever, and then if you want to switch it up and go to something else, then you can do that.
If you buy a bunch of guns and you don't know how to use them, congratulations, you've officially become a FUD.
Yep. They're all just sitting in your gun safe and they don't get shot and you're just hang-a-ding-a-durgan.
Wow, you're talking about all my guns.
Listen, why you just let them sit in a cage?
Oh, because
Who built a cage?
Maybe you
ammo
should
prices. Have you seen
Maybe
ammo
you
prices?
should give them to a nice willing home.
Who built
that
the cages, Blackbeard?
Who built the cages?
Liberty.
Oh,
Liberty
my guns aren't in the cages. All my guns get shot except my 365.
Oh, they get shot, just not very often right now because ammo prices are. And I'm a poor boy.
I'm poor too, but I still buy ammo.
Some guns I own have not had ammunition made for them for 75 years.
Yeah, well.
Us adults here, we have a lot of bills.
Us adults.
Yeah,
I have bills.
I have bills.
You do, yeah.
I'm fairly certain I work a higher paid job than you.
Yeah, you do. Exactly.
Anyways, so yeah, before we all start getting a fist fight, get into a fist fight on the podcast, I think that's a good place to end it. I want to thank everyone for listening. I hope you found this enjoyable and informative. Like we said at the beginning, you can check out our socials if you want to do
Discord at discord.wevaliantfew.com, Instagram at WeValiantFew, YouTube at youtube.wevaliantfew.com. All those on our website at WeValiantFew.com. Again, Google whole front page. Just click on one of them. It's not that hard to find us.
Yeah, and then
tell your friends.
Send us videos. Quite honestly, if you guys sent us videos in the Discord and showed us your training and showed us what you're doing and stuff like that would be awesome.
What about a fan compilation?
Yeah, absolutely. That would be cool. We could throw that in like the background of like We Valiant Few whenever it comes up.
The logistics of that turn into a thing.
We'll
figure that out.
We'll figure it out later. But regardless, thanks again for listening and hope to see you next time.
Stay vigilant.
Wake up and stay vigilant.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeet.